A little history. The Sengoku Jidai. InuYasha takes place in the Sengoku Jidai, approximately 1482 to 1588, also called the Warlord Era, or the Era of the Warring States. The time period got its name from the constant civil wars that took place throughout Japan's 15th and 16th centuries. The reasons for these conflicts were mostly economic. Feudal overlords, or daimyo, became increasingly powerful and wealthy, while the ruling shogun and his central government weakened. Regional daimyo fought among themselves for control of the land and its resources. Average working folk were mostly concerned with keeping their heads down and not ending up in the middle of the next great battlefield. It was an age of great battles, powerful samurai, and mysterious ninja. With this as a backdrop, it's not hard to see why so much Japanese fiction takes place around this time. Many of the great Akira Kurosawa's films, Stan Sakai's comic Usagi Yojimbo, which is based loosely on the tales of Miyamoto Musashi, Kazuo Koike and Goseki Kojima's samurai classic Lone Wolf and Cub, and many others are set in this time period. In a 2001 interview with Animerica magazine, Takahashi gave her a reason for setting the story of InuYasha during the Sengoku Jidai, as because it was relatively easier to draw out a ghost story from that time period. In the Sengoku era, there was war, and lots of people died. Additionally, the subtitle for the InuYasha anime series, Sengoku Otogi Zoshi, is a reference to a specific kind of popular pulp story written during this tumultuous period.
Welcome to Sick Boy, a podcast where I rewatch one of my all-time favorite animes, InuYasha, one episode at a time, and unfortunately spoiler-free. I am Alyssa.
And I am first-time viewer Avery, and this week we are watching Season 1, Episode 1, The Girl Who Overcame Time, and the Boy Who Is Just Overcome.
I hate this title so much.
Okay, tell me why.
Because the boy that was just overcome? What does that mean? It was 50 years ago. Is it a comment on the fact that to him it just happened? Or is it supposed to be like, that's all that happened? He was just overcome. Nothing else important happened. Kikyo didn't die. It's nothing.
These are all really good questions that I have no answer for.
I know.
I thought it was cute because it was like the girl who overcame time, and this kid was just overcome. Like,
okay, that's a little cute.
You know,
yeah.
Like that's the way I viewed it.
I've just been sitting on this for years, and I finally had an outlet.
Now you have a microphone in front of you. You can yell about all of the things.
I'm going to yell about so many things.
I'm so excited. So, in case you haven't noticed, we will be talking about every episode of InuYasha in excruciating detail. It's going to be really, really fun.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Come on the journey along with us. So let's start by talking about the actual episode. This is our first episode. This is their first episode. It's very special for everyone involved.
Yes.
Alyssa, can you tell us a little bit about this episode and where it stands in history?
In history, the episode premiered in Japan. The anime episode premiered October 16th, 2000. The manga premiered in November 13th, 1996.
96.
Yes.
Okay.
So that gives roughly 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And in that time, there was 16 chapters to 17 chapters to work from by the time it premiered.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's nice to know that they had a good chunk of real estate to work with.
Yeah.
For us, though, us in America, it premiered August 31st, 2002. So I was right. I was 12 when I first saw it.
You were right. I'm so happy for
Just
you.
12. Brand spanking new 12.
Maybe 12. Cool. Okay, so we're looking at late 90s, early 2000s for this.
Yes.
Perfect.
I will be reading the manga alongside of us, watching in both English and in Japanese. I don't know why I almost said Spanish. Like, no.
I would love to hear InuYasha in Spanish, genuinely.
That is a huge thing.
I bet.
I feel like InuYasha has a very large Latin community following, probably because of the soap opera.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the manga so far for the first 2 chapters, which is what consists in the first episode, is pretty on par shot wise, except for some small details.
Very pointy details from what I recall. But we will get there.
Yeah.
Do we have any first thoughts about the episode, or should we just jump in?
I cringe and shiver every time I witness this episode. It raises goosebumps, and that the only reason I cringe is because I know all the words and I have recited them in tandem as they happen, and it's
so I did a thing.
What?
So me and Alyssa watched the first episode together, at this point 3 times together,
yes.
Which is great. But the first time we watched, I was taking notes, and every time Alyssa uttered a line under her breath, I wrote it down. And there was the one point that you made a point not to say the line, and I noted that as well. Okay. So I will be sprinkling those in like so much oregano.
Great.
I'm so excited.
Perfect.
Well, let's just jump in then. I mean, I will say that I really enjoyed this. I'm getting really pumped about watching the rest of this show. So that's the only thing I want to say right off the top. That intro's a bop. I'm really excited about it.
Guys, she's not talking about the I want to change the world intro.
No.
She is talking about the InuYasha theme. That's just the action music that's happening in the background, which is the only intro we get in the States. The only way you can listen to the theme music that was originally the intro is either through YouTube or if you own the DVDs like I do.
Gotcha. Okay.
I will say the song is cooler than the intro music that we now have.
Okay.
But the thing I don't like is that they included all the sound effects of what's happening in all the scenes. So it's a little jarring when Kagome comes in and the I want to change the world is happening in the background, and then all of a sudden InuYasha's fighting with Shishomaru, and you hear the noise effects and the of an arrow being thrown and splashing water, and it's like,
we will have to watch this.
Why did you include this? Why was it so important to hear the of like Shippo's transformation? Why?
Because it's great.
But in the middle of everything that's happening, just let the song play.
I will have to listen to this because I don't have any context on this.
Okay.
I'm just hearing the I gotta say, by the way, I am currently very impressed by the lack of panty shots.
Yes.
I was 100% expecting to see a young girl's butt in my face at all times. She fucking skydives. And we don't see underwear. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a little more tame for the time period than a lot of the other mangas of its.
It's much more measured than I expected.
And I think that has something to do with Rumiko Takahashi.
Okay.
She is a woman.
Yeah.
Writing a shonen, which is meant for boys.
Okay.
Shonen means boys, shoujo means girls.
Gotcha.
I did a little research and found out that she only employs women.
No kidding.
Only female artists, because she doesn't like to work, like have men in her workspace, because she doesn't think they promote healthy workspace.
We've all been there, listen.
She's like, the work just gets done better when it's all women.
Fuck it up, Rumiko. I guess Takahashi.
Yeah. I think that's what plays into it. Like, she'll let things happen when it's appropriate, but like if it's unnecessary, it's unnecessary.
I love it. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah.
I wrote that there are a lot of characters I don't know, or at least don't remember and shouldn't know yet.
Oh yeah, spoiler free, and I've already mentioned several people's names. Like,
It's all
we don't know
good.
yet.
You know, it's fine. Spoiler-ish free.
Yeah, I'm terrible at not doing spoilers. So.
It's gonna be all right.
Okay.
We're gonna do what we can. The show starts out in the feudal era.
Yes. We are first introduced to InuYasha attacking the village.
He looks so hot. This will be a horny podcast. He looks so hot when he's fighting like that. I was just like, oh, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
In the manga, he destroys the village and just has the jewel. We don't see him obtain the jewel. In the anime, it looks like he's just trying to get to the shrine that contains the jewel. So he's not really burning down houses like he is in the manga. Which
Gotcha.
Is
So
nicer.
it's much more destruction heavy in the manga.
Yes, but it's also just unclear. It brings you into the very end scene of him holding the jewel going, you deserved this and I deserve this. Like, peace. So, don't know what fueled it at all.
You can explain away his actions a little easier, I think, in the anime version, because he's just running in and getting it. We don't really know why. Whereas,
and he's being pursued, which he doesn't do anything to hurt any of the people. He does not attack them. He literally just dodges. Okay, first thing. it's here. Why does the shrine explode?
Why does the shrine explode, though?
What was in that incense?
Why did they rig it with explosives?
Why does it explode?
It's literally like dynamite. Like, yes, it would catch fire potentially because of the incense, but like, it's an explosion.
Was there oil in there? Would there be oil? Like, it's a shrine, so I guess maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It explodes real fast.
Real fast and very dramatically. It looks great, though. It looks great.
It's amazing aesthetically, but also just years of me watching it and finally going, wait a minute, why is this exploding?
Does he have an explosive
No.
power?
No.
Off topic, by the way, but he's got little feeties.
Little feeties?
He does have little feeties.
He has feet.
I was just remembering it when he jumps up out of the explosion and his little feeties are, you can see my fingers pressed together like little feeties. They're just like... Phew.
Okay, yeah, he does kind of he walks on his tippy toes like an
Little
animal.
feeties.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the little feeties. I really like the look of the Shikon jewel, by the way. I think it's very pretty.
It is very pretty.
I'm looking forward to, like, that is one thing that I didn't really expect to appreciate so much about this show so far, is there's a lot of really, like, beautiful imagery. Like, there's a lot of really pretty artistic touches and use of color that I was really impressed by, and the sort of shine on the jewel that kind of matches the miasma later, the, what do they call it? They called it a miasma in the the sub.
In the dub later, they'll refer to it as miasma.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think they just called it an aura in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways. So, Kikyo shoots his ass.
Yeah. First off, where are they? Because there's a whole structure. There's roads, or at least paved areas. There's steps. There's an archway. And then there's the tree. That happens in the manga too. It's literally like 2 feet outside of a house of the town.
Literally.
And the first tree is what he gets snapped with. So was there a structure that was closer to, like, in the forest that they then just tore down? Because
they just moved it. They picked it up and left.
They were like, well, we can't have it here now. We'll just plant some trees, I guess.
I mean, to be fair, they probably don't want to bunk up with Filthy Half-Demon. That's,
No. Would you want to live next to an evil entity?
I mean, kinda.
Okay.
if I'm being completely honest.
And so I've watched this many times.
Yes.
And I was watching it in Japanese with my roommate to make him listen, because he has weeb ears. And I wanted to make sure what they call InuYasha, and they do call him a Hanyo, which is half demon in Japanese.
Okay.
So it was good to know that it wasn't yokai or some other demon word they have. But as we were watching, with the striking scene of Kikyo firing her bow and arrow, and then the bow just quivering. The bow is on her left side. The string is on her left side, but she had it pulled back with her right. And we thought it was an animation error. I said it was something that always bothered me, and I just assumed it was for, like, so you know that the bow was there, like they just didn't pay attention. And I looked it up on Reddit, and it's a thing. Japanese archery has you hold the bow lighter than Western archery.
Okay.
You don't hold it tightly. You hold it like you would a drumstick, is what the article said. So it is supposed to turn. A master archer will start on the right side with the bow, and then as they release, the bow swivels to the left.
What?
Yeah. So that was intentional.
I really like this show.
I know.
That's really cool.
Like, it's so fast we don't see it happen, but we know, and she is a master archer, so.
Wild.
Yeah.
Huh.
Just showing off her skill
That
to only people who would know.
to the audience.
Yeah.
That is a fun fact.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Speaking of fun facts, do you want to reveal to me the manga fun fact about where the arrow is placed?
Okay, so
I got really into this fact, guys. I'm really excited.
I have an original print manga, physical copy from, I'm pretty sure it's from the early 2000s. I did not own it in the early 2000s. I got it later in life. But this was back when Viz was still trying to figure out the way to print manga. And so they flipped everything because, as manga readers will know, everything is right to left.
It's supposed to be.
Yes. This book is left to right. And so because of that, they flipped the image. So InuYasha is not shot in his heart. He is shot on the right side in the image.
Just sort of at his shoulder.
Yeah. Oh, and everybody's dead.
Yes, please explain that.
In Japanese culture, you always put the kimono left over right. The only reason your kimono would be right over left is if you were preparing the person for a funeral.
Yes. So only ghosts have kimonos right over
or
left.
Corpses. But yeah. So it's just funny because everybody in this printed version I've been reading looks dead to me now that I know that fact. And it's just like, wait, which hand is he fighting with? He's right. He's left-handed. No, he's right-handed.
No, he's right.
Okay.
Yeah, it wakes me out to open a manga and see it go left to right. It doesn't feel right.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore. Good. And luckily, Viz stopped doing this halfway through, but they didn't go back and reprint single versions of any of their
compendiums or whatever.
Yeah, they now have 3-in-1s. So it's 3 volumes per giant chunks that break spines. It's great. But more for your buck, I guess.
Guess so. Okay, so this scene ends with, I wanted to make a mention that Kikyo's flares kick ass. I love her big red pants.
Yes.
So much. Kikyo shoots InuYasha against the tree, and she starts saying stuff that are like definitely, going to be expounded on later. I mean, definitely like half said sentences.
Well, she's dying. She doesn't have time to explain. Yeah.
This jewel witch. This jewel witch. And then she dies.
Yeah.
And she entrusts, or she says to Kaede, we don't know who's Kaede yet, but she's a little baby with only one eye, so we know.
She says sister.
She does say sister, yes.
So, yeah.
But at this point, we don't know anything.
Yeah,
we're not supposed to know anything.
We don't know her name as... No, she does say, Kaede, take the jewel and burn it with my body.
Burn it with my body.
So
she does.
Yeah.
And we see her burn on the pyre, and then it is present day. Yes.
Present day Japan.
And Kagome and Grandpa talk to establish basic tenets of the setting and story.
Yes.
they do a little bit of exposition.
Shiko no tama, my girl.
Which means Jewel of the Four Souls,
yes.
Which I'm sure we will learn more about.
Yes, we will.
What Four Souls means. Like, we don't know. We don't learn it.
I found out yesterday that she is the part that means four, and four, she also means death in Japan. So like how we don't have 13th floors in hotels. They don't have 4th floors.
There you go. This show definitely has preoccupation with death and like superstitions towards death, which will be interesting to explore.
Yeah, we are headed to some interesting, gruesome stories.
Yay! My favorite. So yeah, we meet Kagome for the first time. We learn she's turning 15 years old, and we're not going to be weird about it. Right?
Right.
Great. I'm so glad to not be weird about a 15-year-old girl.
I'm pretty sure the age of consent in Japan is 13. It may have been younger at that time. It's fine. The manga does tell us specifically what year it is in Kagome's world. The anime does not specify.
What does it say?
In the manga, it says 1997.
97. Okay.
So I did some fun math.
Oh, please.
And found out that if Kagome is turning 15 in 1997, she was born in 1982. Oh. Guess what year that is for the Zodiac?
Ooh. What year?
The year of the dog.
The puppy dog! Yay! No wonder they're so meant for each other.
They're so meant for each other. She was born for him.
Do you think that was done on purpose?
Yes.
I'm so excited.
I totally believe that.
That's fantastic. We also meet a very important character.
Oh, God.
We meet Buyo.
I thought it would be fun to look up some of the names and what they mean in Japanese. Because everything has a meaning in Japanese.
Yes.
Everything has an origin. Everything is ancient this and...
Replica that.
Yeah. Thank you. So I was like, what does Buyo mean? And I looked it up. And Buyo is just a joke on the noise of him being fat. So it's a fat joke.
Fat joke.
Fat joke for a cat, because cats are fat. They can be. But unfortunately, in my research, I found a forbidden fact.
Do you want to share it?
So the voice actor for Buyo is different than the one in the sub. I don't know why they had to change it, other than it's a little funnier, I guess. Richard Cox. Fucking Richard Cox.
Who is
the voice of InuYasha. So he voices both InuYasha and Buyo the cat.
He's a dog and a cat.
Yes. Forbidden knowledge.
So good. I love it.
There will be points later on when he's literally playing with himself.
I can't wait.
He is tormenting the cat. And the cat's just like, Rawr.
I'm so happy they made that decision. Like, whoever made that choice is my hero, personally. I know it deeply bothers you, but it makes me very, very happy.
Yes.
So we have a little short exchange between Kagome and Grandpa. Grandpa tries to impart a very lovely mummified hand, and she immediately feeds it to the cat.
Here, Buyo, eat.
Like, one of the first differences between the sub and the dub was actually the next little mini scene that we noticed.
Yes.
Which was, they'll joke about everything here has a story, and then Grandpa says,
"Why, these pickles are full of history."
Not half as full as you are.
which is very like badumts.
Yes. And in the sub, he's talking about how the ancient history of the pickles, and she's like, a shrine person brought those for us. Like, they were a gift. They just got here. There is no history, old man. Let it go.
It's a much better line. And I'm glad they did it. Next scene is sort of the morning, like after that little tiny little sequence.
Yes, it is her birthday morning.
It's her birthday.
She's going off to school. She's all ready. She got her backpack, got her little loafers.
Damn
loafers. And as she's walking past Sota, her brother, what's he doing? Why has he got a
Sato?
Sota?
Sota?
Yeah.
Oops. Throw down wrong. I'm so glad that I'm doing this with you.
You had me guess for a second. I was like, wait, what? Like, no, wait. I know. I know.
You know more than me. It's okay.
For the first time ever, folks. He is messing in the mini shrine is what they refer to it as somewhere. I can't remember if it was the manga or in the anime.
I think it was the manga because I don't remember that being...
Okay. And he's like, the cat got in and I'm trying to get him out. And poor Sota is so scared. I don't know how old he is supposed to be.
It's kind of funny because the difference between his voice in the sub versus the dub makes a chasm of age gap. Like his voice in the Japanese version is so freaking adorable.
It is.
But it sounds like he's like 4.
Yeah.
Whereas like in the English dub, it's more like, I don't know, like a 7 or 8 year old. So I have no idea.
I definitely know he's in elementary school from later stuff.
Okay.
So
somewhere between probably 5 and 8. Maybe we'll find out.
And the lovely Monica story is like, it's like, there's something down there. Yeah, the cat. Yes, I know I said it.
I'm pointing at the computer because Alyssa knows that was one that you said with the perfect inflection at the exact same time that Kagome said, yeah,
it's just
the cat.
So funny. It's like
pitch perfect.
Almost the same inflection in the Japanese too.
Yeah.
So
it is pretty funny.
I don't know if she studied it really well or if she was just like, oh yeah, this makes the most sense to say it like that.
I'm going to have attitude and it's going to be great.
I am a teenager talking to my dorky little brother.
Yeah.
And he's making me late. And it's my birthday. Why am I doing this on my birthday?
Speaking of terrible things that happen on Kagome's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Kagome goes down the stairs and gets brushed up by Booyah. So Booyah's fine.
Yeah.
Which is a very important thing because next Kagome gets a bunch of hands come up out of a well and drag her down.
Yeah.
And in what the subtitles dubs as polyphonic voice, my beautiful snake demon wife has arrived. And I'm so happy.
She's not a snake. But yes.
So, okay. That is what I wrote down first.
Okay.
That's why I left it. The snake demon. I am vindicated because she has snake anatomy.
Does she?
She does not have centipede anatomy. Mr. Centipede, who we find out later is called Mr. Centipede. At the moment, she's just this entity that has grabbed Kagome, dragged her down to the well.
And licks her face.
It's so weird. I love it. This is so, like, seriously my shit. Like, the whole thing about Mr. Centipede is, like, my absolute shit. She's so gross. She's so grotesque. Like, she's so strange and, like, otherworldly. She's got the long fucking tongue. Like, I love how weirdly tender she is with Kagome for a second. Like, she kind of, like, caresses her. And then the licking of the face. Like, it's just a very, like, creepy... They do it so well. And then, like, the way that the arm sloughs off, like, it just kind of comes off, like, silly putty coming off of her hand, or her body, rather. It's just very, very A+. But when we first meet her, she's only got the bone. She's got the tail that doesn't have any skin. And that is a snake's anatomy tail. A centipede doesn't have bones like that. It just has a carapace.
So have exoskeletons.
Yes. Confirmed by the internet. I felt very vindicated.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I'm glad.
Yes.
And I will point out in the manga, she got nipples.
She got nipples in the manga, though.
I mean, they're not big. They're just little.
They're little dots.
Little points. But she got female anatomy right there. Not just snake.
Actually, that does segue really well into something that I researched about. So there is an interesting history of censorship. For Mr. Centipede. So, you know, we had talked about the fact that in the manga, she has nipples. In the anime, she has always not had nipples.
Yes.
But did you know that in original American broadcasts and currently in Latin American and Brazilian broadcasts, they just like gave her a boob job.
Yeah.
Like they flattened out her chest and just cut them off.
Do remember her being flatter of chest.
It is really weird to look at. We'll kind of put up some images so that like some visual aids. But yeah, it's like they literally like had to slow certain scenes down to like digitally like cover them and like censor them and like
no cleavage.
None whatsoever. Which is really, really fascinating. And then there's even, like, this video game that came out, the InuYasha Journey to Seek the Jade. They gave her a little green bikini, and I'm actually kind of a fan. Like, doesn't she look cute?
Yes.
She actually looks adorable with her little bikini and her one little arm off.
She's having the time of her life.
She really is. She's all smiley.
She's ready to go to the beach. Her hair is kind of pushed up, it looks like.
I did do a little bit of research on Mr. Centipede and centipedes in Japanese mythology. There's sort of a long history of not just centipedes, but like giant centipedes. Like these like dragon-sized giant centipedes, which is really fascinating. So that's probably where they pulled Mr. Centipede. I found this really funny webpage where somebody was like, basically was like, I hate centipedes. And it's not just because I'm weird. Here's a bunch of mythology from a lot of different cultures that also hate centipedes. And I was just like, you've got some hang-ups, but go off. Like,
yeah.
There's good research. So I got this cool little quote that says that it's from the Handbook of Japanese Mythology by Ashkenazi, which is like the, classic, it's like the Bible on Japanese monsters. So it'll be coming up a lot.
Okay.
But it says centipedes are impure, polluted animals associated with the dead.
Oh.
Yes. So they are known as messengers of the dead. They are also known, fun fact, as messengers of Bishamon. Which I was like, Bisha!
Calamity!
Yes. But they're very deeply linked as messengers of death and the underworld and the gods, but not in a good way usually, not for the good of mankind. They're also mentioned, like I said, in myths as gigantic threatening creatures wreaking havoc wherever they go. Only the most heroic figures could defeat them, and there's a couple different interesting little myths of like famous Japanese heroic figures that take down these giant like dragon-sized centipedes. So there's a reason that they have InuYasha facing off against this creature, because it's like it establishes his strength that he can take her down so fast and so efficiently, because he must have some level of heroic blood in him if he can do that and is willing to do that. So there's some level of that already.
And she's not the only centipede monster we will see, but she is the only one that is part like humanoid, which as far as I can tell in the InuYasha mythos or lore, the more human a demon looks means they're more powerful and more deceptive.
Interesting.
So like she almost was on her way to being so powerful she could disguise herself as human.
That's interesting. And it actually rings in with another thing that I found out in my little research, is that her appearance, the way that her eyebrows are, is a sign of royalty. And they're like, well, it either means that like she was some level of royalty, or maybe even like highly ranked in like the demon tribe that she was from. So like I thought that was really interesting. I learned a little bit about Hikimayu. I'm absolutely positive I'm butchering that, but it's a practice of removing your natural eyebrows and painting little smudge eyebrows really high up on the forehead. When I'm sure you've seen that, it used to be aristocratic women, would do that. It was kind of a popular fad for like in the 794 to 1185.
You did so much more research than me.
I got really excited about it.
Thorough. Oh my god.
Partly because I've seen that style.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered what that was. So.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why she is. It's the style of Japanese princesses in that time.
Okay.
So that is what I found out. What happens next? She falls down the well.
She falls down the well. Mr. Centipede licks her face, and Kagome pushes her away, and somehow has magical powers all of a sudden, which rips Mistress Centipede's, or dissolves Mistress Centipede's arm off of her body.
It's super gross and super great.
And then she kind of disappears into a weird void as Kagome lands on solid ground.
Mm-hmm. This is where another one of your lines came.
Oh, God.
Do you know which one?
No.
She's looking around. She goes, maybe I bumped my head. And she looks around. She goes, maybe not. Because there's a fucking arm behind her.
Yeah.
So she decides to get out of the well. She's calling for Grandpa. She's calling for Sota. And nothing's happening, of course.
So she's out. She is not in the mini shrine. And unfortunately, we get a reference to pretty close to where we live, actually. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm from Kansas.
I'm from Missouri, but I'm close enough.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but Toto, I think we're not in Tokyo anymore.
Which is a fine joke.
Yeah, and it's only for American audiences. They don't make that joke in the sub, as far as the translation tells us.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So I again, very impressed by the attention and detail. I really like the birds and the little nature details. But she's walking around and she finds the tree.
The Tree of Ages, which in the anime they refer to it as the 1,000-year-old sacred tree. And I ha-ha'd this while we were watching earlier, because in the manga they refer to it as the 500-year-old sacred tree. And there's never really a conversation as to why, and I don't know if that's just supposed to be the tree was 500 years old in feudal Japan, and now it's 1,000 years in the shrine, or if that was a calculated error, and so they fixed it in the anime, because 1,000-year-old trees are thick.
Yeah.
They are thick and they are stumpy, and they do not look like this tree. 500-year-old trees look a lot like this tree.
Interesting.
So I think it is supposed to be 500 years.
Interesting.
But
maybe they thought it sounded more impressive to be 1,000 years old.
that, or they were also getting confused with the time period, because she does go 500 years back in time. And so that would mean the tree was new, and it's pretty big back then.
Yeah.
We find the tree. She runs forward, moving bushes. She's like, I'm home. The shrine's here. Grandpa, I made it. Sota. No, we find a sleeping boy.
And we get to another one of your lines, which is that a boy? Because
is it? What is this thing that has vines grown around him? He's so pretty. He's so pretty with his white silver hair and his little ears, and he's just so peaceful. He's Sleeping Beauty. He is Sleeping Beauty.
Literally. I love Kagome's super chill, hey there, what you doing? Being all of us in that moment. Hey, what you doing? Just hanging out?
I never thought about that. That is super awkward. I would not randomly walk up to a sleeping person and go,
hey there, up. I gotta get closer to you because I think you're hot, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's so awkward, and I love it. It's so genuine. And she has a compulsion. She has to touch.
I mean, we all have that compulsion.
She gotta touch the ears. I think I want to touch them.
They're so soft.
They're so whoopy.
Boop, boop. I've tried to rub my cat's ears like that. They hate it. They hate it so much. There's no way she could ever do that to InuYasha.
Literally only because he's in a magic sleep.
Mm-hmm.
She goes, now that that's out of my system, and the entire fucking village is just standing there like, what is she doing? Is she touching his ears?
Were they hunting? Did they get a notice that somebody came through the well?
That's the only thing I can figure is that somehow, like, Kaede or somebody, like, saw... Maybe there's somebody that patrols the well and keeps an eye on it.
I feel like they must have just been hunting and they were like, we might as well check this area.
Right.
And they happened upon her, is what makes the most logical sense. Because as far as I'm aware, Kaede doesn't get any pings from the well.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Regardless, the entire village is there, and they stick her up, and they tie her up, and they bring her to the middle of the village, and
For all to see.
For all to see. It's probably normal.
It's normal. Another quote?
Yes. It's not what you think it is. Do you think this is war? Of course it is. And right in the middle of rice planting season. I was just like, how do you fucking know this?
I've seen it way too many times.
I don't know why that tickled me so much.
Because why are they... They're so upset because it's
right in the middle of rice planting season.
We are farmers, goddammit. Stop with your war. We just want to eat. But the quote I thought it was going to be was top knot, top knot, top knot, top knot.
Yes.
Because when I was a child, I thought Kagome was saying talk knot.
Talk knot, talk knot, talk knot, talk knot.
So I thought it was just like a weird, like, talk, 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 pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little. Like, just, like, why are all these people gabbing around me?
Right.
You're just talking. Talk knot, talk knot, talk knot. Stop. Why are you gossiping about me right in front of me? No, she's referring to the knots on top of their head.
Hair. She accurately says, where are we? In the Japanese medieval times? And it's like, big. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
You're right.
We are introduced to the High Priestess Kaede, who enters with a bag of something and starts to throw it at Kagome.
I genuinely tried to figure out what that was, and I could not find anything.
I've always just assumed it was salt, but it could be, like, herbs as well.
That makes sense as salt. I mean, you know, I feel like most cultures consider salt to be, like, cleansing or whatever.
Yeah.
So that makes the most sense. I was just like, why is she throwing sand in her face? Like, what is wrong with this woman? But it's to test if she's a demon and all that stuff.
Yeah. Stylized speech of old-timey medieval Japan is a choice they made for Kaede, and they stick with it. She says, look clever, girl, or be ye a half-wit. And then, it's there, but I know not why. What? Whereas in the Japanese, she says, let me take a look at you. Stop making that dumb face.
Which makes a lot more sense.
You look like my sister. She just flat out says it.
Yes.
So much more sense. So much more context.
I really enjoy that she just comes out with it in the sub.
And, I mean, they could have still kind of come out with it in the old-timiness, but they don't. They want to drag those...
Yeah.
Those... Which, and now, like, never finish the sentence.
Jewel witch.
Never finish the thought. Keep them hanging.
Which?
Which? I don't know.
So then we end up in Kaede's hut, where she is making the most delicious looking food. Cartoon food always looks amazing, and it makes me so hungry, even if I've just eaten, which I have eaten a large sum of chicken Alfredo recently, so thinking about that is still making me hungry, so that tells you something.
Yes. There's a slight difference in the manga here. It's just a joke. Kaede does the talk of, sorry, we mistook you, like it happens, we're a small village. Here, have some food. Why aren't you eating? And Kagome just, like, literally lifts her hands and is like, I'm still fucking tied.
That's a good gag.
And she's like, oh, sorry.
I really wish they'd kept that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so. is the only difference, and it was a choice to cut it, I guess.
I wish they'd kept it. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So we get a little bit of exposition here. We learned that Kikyo and the whole first sequence was 50 years ago.
Yes.
Right? We unfortunately get the exact same joke in the dub of not being in Tokyo anymore. I was just like, guys, we already did this. But it's mostly so that Kaede can say, I've never been to Tokyo.
Yeah.
Which means that Tokyo doesn't exist yet.
It didn't.
We learned for the first time that I didn't really think about it. Like, Kagome doesn't know if she's stuck in the past yet. Like, she's just like, I'll deal with that later.
A lot has happened to her,
Yeah.
and she has taken it
In stride.
so well.
I'm so proud of her.
But also, just like, she has so much gumption and attitude. Just,
Seriously. Like, she's holding her own. I'm very impressed.
she's scrappy.
She's scrappy. And she's just like, will I be able to get home? Anyways.
Food.
Yeah, literally. Kaede somehow realizes that Kagome is Kikyo and Kikyo is Kagome, which is confusing to me, but it must be a hunch thing.
She is trying. It seems Kaede is assuming that Kagome has some connection to Kikyo. She doesn't know what.
Gotcha.
So she does not know that there is a connection. She just assumes there is one because they look so similar.
They look similar. Okay, cool. Which, debatable, but I don't think they look.
They don't look alike in the anime. They do look similar in the manga.
Okay.
And slowly, as time progresses, the differences become more apparent. Kind of like how when you first see twins, you're like, oh my gosh, you're identical. And then the longer you spend with them, you're like, oh no, but there are differences.
I can tell the difference.
Whereas with the anime, I'm pretty sure they were just like, it'll get too confusing. Let's just make them look different.
That tracks.
Yeah.
That's actually fair. And then my girlfriend's back.
Oh, yay. We get a horse thrown on us, of course.
It's a fucking horse with her teeth.
Yeah.
Which is completely unnecessary, but it was kind of hot.
Bye, horsey.
Bye, horsey. Again, she has absolutely no nipples. We find out, like, how fucking big she is, though, in this one. I think she's, like, 100 feet long, I think was the approximation I saw.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no...
Whatever the InuYasha wiki is, we will become well acquainted with it, I'm sure. So,
yeah.
But I can't remember it off the top of my head. But I think it said 100 feet on there.
Seems so, since she literally plowed through several huts and
She's
homes.
so strong.
And then she does a barrel roll.
Yes, she does. Fucks up some fields and some farmers and one horse with her teeth.
Yeah.
And gravity.
And we find that spears and arrows have no effect on her.
Yes. Unfortunately for the farmers.
Yeah.
I wrote, she do a spinny and flip them boys in the air.
That is what she do.
Accurate. And so Kaede is like, we must lure it to the dry well. Mm-hmm. And Kagome's like, I know a dry well. Funny you mentioned that. And she does the thing that we were talking about earlier, which I really like, where she says, where the light's shining, right? Mm-hmm. Which is the first time that we learn about, like, Kagome is seeing shit that other people are not seeing, and she doesn't realize it, which I think is a really cool little touch.
Yes. It is understood that Kaede can see it. Okay. Which is kind of why she was confused why Kagome could, because she should be a normal girl. Okay. Gotcha, it's a priestess thing to have a supernatural sight, is what it seems like.
That makes sense for some of the stuff that I was sort of ignoring. I'm just figuring it was Kaede, like, assuming she knew, but not actually seeing.
Well, Kagome literally says, where is InuYasha's forest? Mm-hmm. Oh, by the light, and then takes off. Yes. And she's like, the fuck you say? You saw the light?
You saw the light, yeah. Exactly.
She doesn't actually say that, folks. She says the old...
fuck you say?
She says
I'm sorry, the fuck ye say? But yeah, it's kind of fucked up that she just runs off, but it's like very, again, like setting her up as kind of a perfect hero of, like, she's going to throw herself into action even though she has no reason to do so. And seemingly, at least as far as she knows and as far as we know, no, like, skills to fight this. But she's just like, fuck it, I'll draw it away. I'll go.
I was told there was a solution to this problem.
Yeah.
I will go do that.
Yes, exactly. Very, again, a lot of Buffy parallels could be drawn of, like, she's this, like, plucky hero that we are very concerned for, that she's just like, why would you be concerned for me? I'm here to do the thing. Just leave me alone.
Yeah, a little less strength, a little less chosen one, a little more things on her feet.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah.
I wrote down the someone will save me right, which is really nice, again, setting up the hero's journey thing. She goes, somebody help me, and
we hear a howl and a zoom and a pulse. And this is the first time we will see the demonic pulse. Something that does happen occasionally to InuYasha. And it is, I'm not sure if we're supposed to infer that her cry for help is what awoke InuYasha, if, like, the adrenaline is what did it, because he didn't wake up when she was there.
Right.
He wasn't reacting to the jewel before, so...
Yeah, I think... I read it as, like, she's literally like, someone help me, and he says, okay.
Yeah. But he wakes up.
Alyssa gets goosebumps.
Because I love the claw hand thing.
Mm-hmm.
And...
his poppin' manicure.
He reaches for the arrow as he says, I smell the blood of the woman who killed me. Boy, you were not dead. You were asleep. You were a deep sleep. But I guess you were dead. Okay.
Go off, though. And we get a commercial bumper. After the commercial break, Mr. Centipede flips Kagome 360 and we still don't see her panties.
Yes.
I'm watching carefully, not because I want to see the panties, because I want to call their shit. And there's no shit to call. I'm very proud.
I do want to quickly mention one thing. It's not important. You can cut this later if you want. She runs uphill in a wet area with fucking loafers on. That is a steep ass hill, and she does not slip. She does not
high
trip. High
quality loafers.
She gets all the way up that hill. And then she gets flipped on her ass.
I would never cut that in a million years. It's a good point, and I'm glad you said it. InuYasha calls Kagome Kikyo right off the bat.
Yes.
Starts being a little shit to her.
And we are with Kagome in the you're awake? Cool. Did not know that was going to happen.
Or was an option.
Yeah. And also, who? I am not this person. Mm-hmm. Who you calling me? That's not my name.
Mm-hmm. InuYasha says, you ought to do her like you did me. Wink. Wink.
Wink. Ugh.
But yeah, they go around a little bit, and then Mr. Centipede comes up, and then the villagers shoot her in the ribs, and it's like a very satisfying dunk, dunk, dunk.
Yeah.
It's like, and just like, oh. It's good animation.
So now the spears and arrows work.
Right? It's fine. But yeah, they shoot her, and then
we think we are safe for a moment as she's being pulled away, and InuYasha's like, you're so pathetic, Kikyo. What the fuck is up with you? And Kagome has had enough.
Yes.
And she marches up to him on the little vines and is like, I am not Kikyo. My name is Kagome. Kagome. And he's like, there's no way that you're not Kikyo, because you wouldn't smell so much.
And he goes,
sniff, sniff, motherfucker.
Sniff, sniff. And he realizes it's definitely not Kikyo, and it's very cute.
It's cute until you see the difference between the Japanese and the English translations.
I don't remember.
In the, he says, oh, I guess you're not her.
Oh, yeah.
Kikyo was cuter much cuter.
Like, bitch, come on, fuck off.
But in the subtitles, Japanese, and in the manga, he refers to Kikyo being looking smarter and prettier. Not cuter, prettier.
Bitch.
He's like, Kikyo was a lot smarter and prettier.
How dare.
Yeah.
How very dare.
He values her mind as well as her physical form.
Okay, fine, but also, how dare. Mr. Centipede grabs Kagome, and Kagome's first instinct is to grab InuYasha's hair like handles, which is extremely good. And then they do like the close up where he's like showing his thoughts. His hair's fine, and I know he's got his little pretty bitch mentality of what he really looks like while his hair is getting pulled. He's like, "That's not really who I am."
Yeah, he's like, "I would never make that face."
Yeah, exactly.
And then Kagome turns to the side and blasts a power bolt out of her hand, and all the arms come off.
She gets a plop, plop, plop. 3 arms off. She's down to no arms. And yet, my girl prevails and bites the shit out of Kagome. She just tears her bitch open.
Yeah.
And there's a jewel in her ribcage.
Yeah. What was that doing there?
How did that get there, I wonder?
What is it?
Poor Kagome is in shock. I feel really bad for her in this whole sequence because she's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Why was that in me? What?
And then she gets yelled at to grab it.
Yes.
And she is not fast enough.
No, because she's in shock.
Yeah.
And then my big tits, long tongue baby girl. She go gulp.
Yes.
And she says, this isn't even my final form. And she sloughs off all her skin. And I just love her so much.
In the manga, it's a lot more grotesque. She literally does a backwards pull and the skin just rips off in one go.
So good.
And molts to the floor.
It's very, very cool.
Mr. Centipede has coiled herself around the tree, pinning Kagome to InuYasha in a strategic place.
Deeply suggestive.
Yes. But yes, she makes the rearming joke, which only appears in the English version.
Because it only makes sense in English.
And then the centipede starts to crush Kagome, pulling her further down, InuYasha. And guys, I see his waistband, which means Kagome is in a very compromised, about to die.
It doesn't matter.
It's fine. And then
we all read romance. It's fine.
And then InuYasha goes, "Hey, can you pull out this arrow?"
Kaede's like, "Bitch, don't. And he's like, do you want to live? And we had a long discussion about what she actually says, but apparently she just says, I choose to, well. For many years, Alyssa thought that it was live, right?
Yeah, it sounds like she screams live.
It does. Even when we
live.
watched it today, I was like, it literally does sound like that. But the subtitles, listening closely or whatever, if you're hearing or listening for it just sounds like bleh. I wish that they just said live because it makes more sense. But she pulls the arrow out.
Yes.
And he's at peak hotness when he does the angry eyebrows laugh.
But before that, we get another pulse.
Oh, yes, we do.
We get several dark, lined, fizzy, demonic pulses, which is the awakening of InuYasha's demon blood. And then, my favorite moment, Kagome says his name for the very first time.
Oh.
And then we get the laugh with the eyebrows as he literally bump chests this thing apart.
Yes. Oh, man, the laugh in the Japanese dub was creepy sounding.
It
was very cool. I know you're always going to want Richard Cox, but...
Just because I grew up wanting him.
Yeah, exactly. I said tag yourself who is Wicked Child and who is Nasty Hag. Which one of us should be which? I think you should be the wicked child and I'll be the nasty hag.
Oh, I feel like that's what we should be, but I'm older than you, so I don't know.
But Mistress Centipede is mine, so...
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'll take him.
Call her and you can take him. Perfect. So yeah, InuYasha and Mr. Centipede have a standoff.
Yes.
For like approximately 0.1 seconds.
Yes. And then InuYasha uses his very first move. I don't know what he says anymore. For the life of me, I thought it was Iron Reaver Soul Stealer.
Seems reasonable.
Or Iron Reamer Soul Stealer.
Yeah.
In the manga, it looks like Iron Reaver. And in this last viewing with Hulu, it said Iron Reaper Soul Stealer.
That may have been a typo, though.
But I do think he says Reaper at some points, or at least I thought he did when I was younger. I was like, oh yeah, that's what he says.
Sense.
Which is it?
Couldn't tell you.
In the manga, his very first time using that move, he just says, "Be gone, demon."
Well, she is, to be fair. She gets split hot dog style. It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Like instantly.
But that animation they use,
Yeah.
they will use that every single time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they just repeat that. And Kagome has come to the realization that, okay, she did the right thing. He was strong enough to handle this.
Yeah. Man, the yellow background when the chunks are falling
Yeah.
down looks so good. It just looks so pretty. Kaede is like, okay, we gotta find the jewel because the chunks are twitching.
Yeah. And she's like, okay, where is it? And Kagome goes, what do you mean where is? And she goes, you have to find it or else all these pieces are going to go back together and she's going to come back. And so Kagome quickly searches and she finds the glowing piece. Mm-hmm. And luckily, Kaede pulls it out and everything magically turns to bones.
It's a really satisfying sound that
Yeah.
is like rustling leaves. Sounds
Just
really good.
dissolves.
Gone.
And then she hands the jewel to Kagome and is like, this is yours. You have to look after this now. And Kagome is like, why would I have a jewel that's wanted by demons in my body? What?
Good question.
Uh-huh. And InuYasha has an answer. No reason. So you should give that to me. Mm-hmm. Or I'll kill you.
I'm sorry, I won't have to start sharpening my claws on you.
Yeah.
And she goes,
What?
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 You mean he's not the hero? It's a twist!
Such a twist.
And a cliffhanger, sort of.
Yeah.
And we see the little outro where everyone's very thoughtful. It's very classic,
Yeah.
anime outro. So that's our first episode.
Yeah.
We did it.
Woo!
Yay! How do you feel about this episode? Like, is it one of those that you've just watched to death, or do you still like it?
I mean, yes, I have watched it to death, especially now because I've been analyzing it, but I still get chills.
Good.
I still cringe a little because I quote it. It's the start. It's the beginning. And it's the thing I told so many people growing up, trying to get them to watch this show. And I never made any friends who were interested in anime or interested in watching this until later on in life. So it's in me, whether I want it or not.
I hear you.
Like
I fully hear you.
Like the Shikon jewel.
Like the jewel of 4 souls in your ribcage. Aw. We have one last order of business. I'm feeling thirsty.
Are you? I'm a little parched.
I think it's time to go visit the lemonade stand. So the lemonade stand is a little something we cooked up where we will be, each episode, I guess, choosing who we most want to...
Or
who do we want to fuck?
Or who the show is pushing the audience to want to fuck.
Yes, because it seems as though this show has motivations that may be against our will.
A little thirsty.
A little bit thirsty.
And we succumb to that thirst.
Gladly in some cases.
Some cases.
If it hasn't been entirely obvious this entire episode, my pick for the lemonade stand, the lucky girl that I'm taking on my date to the lemonade stand, is Mistress Centipede.
Oh.
She is everything I've ever wanted. She has 5 arms to hold me tight at night. The longest tongue in the world, and I don't have to go anywhere with that. And boobs that are of some size and have some number of nipples depending on the media in which I am watching.
Yes.
Yes. Who are you taking the lemonade stand?
It's so hard to pick. InuYasha.
Yeah.
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 Boy's a tall drink of lemonade.
Those little feeties and his big pointy claws. I get it.
It's the ears.
And the floopy ears.
It's the stupid ears.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us on our first episode, our first official episode. If you missed episode 0, go back and listen to that. It should be up on whatever podcatcher of your choice. And that is basically an entire episode where I'm showing my entire ass and hoping to God that I'm not sounding like a complete idiot and making some predictions about the entirety of the show, which is pretty fun.
It does contain some spoilers in the sense that we name drop a lot of characters.
Yes, it does. But nothing too intense.
Yeah.
We will be planning to drop episodes on a every other week basis, bi-monthly. And we will be keeping up in between episodes on our Instagram.
Yeah.
Link for that is in the show notes. And then Alyssa has also set up an email address.
I've made a Google account.
Yay!
For our podcast called sitboycast@gmail.com.
So send questions, super nice compliments, any, suggestions for things that you want us to talk about on the podcast.
Random trivia you think we didn't cover in this hour and a half of talking about a 22-minute episode.
Listen, we're doing our best. We had a lot to talk about.
We did.
And
until next time.
See you soon.